The body I used to have does repulse me a bit. I'm fully weight restored. People were genuinely shocked when they saw me. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I haven't really ever done a video like this. I've never really spoken about my weight gain journey on here. I think probably because I was still in the midst of it and I didn't really want to talk about it. But I've been asked this question, word for word, quite a few times, how it felt to lose my anorexic body. And I thought now would be a good time to sort of like talk it through in the hopes that I can actually help some of you who are going through like the weight gain process or the recovery process. I'm actually currently recovering from anorexia and COVID-19, which is why my voice is like this. I do just want to preface this by saying that there is no such thing as an anorexic body. When I talk about an anorexic body, I'm talking about the body that I had when I was trying to gain weight in recovery from anorexia. There's no look to anorexia. No matter what your weight or shape or size is, you can be struggling with anorexia. It's a mental thing, it's a restrictive eating disorder, and no matter what shape or size you are valid. Whether you're a healthy weight or you need to gain quite a bit of weight, as I said, it's all the same. And also it all depends on people's like situations. Like some people get to lower weights because their teams or family or whatever don't intervene, whereas some people get really early intervention, they nip it in the bud and then they start recovering. I won't be mentioning my actual weight or any numbers, I won't be showing pictures, so this is like a safe video, a safe space. You don't have to worry about that. I'm literally just going to be talking through the emotional experience and how it felt. I also want to say that my whole thing throughout my recovery was gaining weight kind of as quickly as I could. Obviously I went all in, and no, that doesn't always mean like really intense fast weight gain, but I just kind of ate as much as I could to gain the weight as fast as possible to make the process as not painful as possible, if that makes sense. I knew I had to gain the weight and I didn't want to drag it out. Starting off with phase 1 of weight gain, which is the first few weeks of my recovery, I didn't really physically view myself as like anorexic or underweight because I had like crippling body dysmorphia and I just had no idea what I looked like. People would tell me that I looked unwell and I just was like, you're lying to me, like I don't believe you. Although I didn't like view myself as underweight or see how I truly looked, I think I found comfort in knowing what the number was, or just knowing that I was doing what I was to my body, because that was my coping mechanism at the time. Obviously choosing to recover from anorexia was choosing to get my life back, but the weight gain part of it absolutely terrified me. And at first my weight gain wasn't noticeable to anyone else, but I was convinced every time I got weighed, not even every time I got weighed, just like day by day, I was just convinced that I could just see myself getting bigger and bigger. Again, body dysmorphia, it doesn't go on that fast, and actually at the start of your recovery all your weight gain is probably going to go to your stomach and your organs, so it really wasn't that noticeable, but my brain was playing tricks on me. It was a really painful stage. It felt like a very vulnerable stage where I could just slip back to the way I was before and give up because I'd only just started, but I knew that I had to push on because I wasn't just working towards a healthy body, I was working towards the life that I wanted to live, and that always stood out as more important to me than how my body looked when I actually took a step back and tried to like slip out of that anorexic mindset, because obviously when I was completely in that anorexic mindset all I cared about was my body and how I looked. Sorry about the light by the way, I'm obviously filming with natural light and it's like a sunny but cloudy day, and there's also pigeons just sitting on the roof, so if you hear them, that's what that is. I had to keep reminding myself that I had a warped perception of my body because it took me a long time to actually realise that I had body dysmorphia, and at this like first stage of recovery I still was convinced that everyone was lying to me. I think body checking made it so much worse for me because obviously in my bedroom I had like 2 big mirrors on my like wardrobe, and I used to obsess and like look at myself all the time. I hated what I was seeing, and I do just want to say as well that I'm not fat phobic, and being fat is absolutely fine, like there is nothing wrong with it. It's just that obviously when you're in an anorexic mindset it is something you're scared of, completely irrational. I would honestly recommend, if you're in anorexia recovery or restrictive eating disorder recovery and you're gaining weight, cover your mirrors up. If you look at my room tour you'll see how we've done my mirror in the new room, so I don't have to have it like open all the time and I don't have to look at myself. But honestly the best thing you can do is just stop body checking and not look at yourself. Also just don't ask people around you if you look like you've gained weight. I did that to my mum especially, and I was like, do I look like I've gained weight, like do I look bigger? And she'd be like, no, but then I'd just be asking it to like reassure my anorexia. They're like, it's not gone too far, do you know what I mean? It wasn't a healthy thing to reassure myself of. I was meant to be gaining weight, so I needed to accept that I was going to look bigger, not try and seek reassurance in the fact that I didn't. So another thing I would recommend not doing. And when I was asking my mum, have I got bigger, I also had to come to terms with like the fact that me gaining fat did not mean I was fat, and that actually there was nothing wrong with being fat. My body wasn't functioning and I had an awful life at the weight that I was at, so gaining fat or even getting fat would have been preferable to the life that I was living. In phase 1 of weight gain, I rested constantly and I just ate everything I had to, which was 3 meals, 3 snacks, anything more that I wanted or craved, although that was quite difficult for me at that point. It was so important that I did that. It helped me break the exercise rituals and compulsions that I had, and it just meant that my body had as much of a chance to heal as it possibly could after everything I'd like put it through. Moving on to phase 2. Now this was where weight gain became actually noticeable, not just to myself but to others. It felt like I was grieving, and not just from the body that I had, but for the life that I'd created for myself, where I felt safe and controlled in what I was doing. Obviously that was not a healthy life and that was not the life I wanted to be living anymore, but when you've relied on that for so long, it is quite painful to let it go. It's just a coping mechanism, and I was sort of left feeling like I didn't know what I was doing with myself and I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I think I'd associated that body with that control and giving it all up. It was just hard. The weight I gained mostly went to my stomach and my legs, and I know it's different for everyone, but the stomach is a really common place for weight to go when you first start gaining weight. As I said, I'm pretty sure it's because like all your organs are there. I don't actually fully know the science of it, but I also got really intense recovery bloating, obviously because my body was getting used to actually processing good food again. If you watch till the end, I'll talk about my stages of weight redistribution through each phase. I literally had to remind myself through every meal and every snack that actually eating this food wasn't just gaining weight, it was gaining me my life back, and it was going to give me the life that I wanted. And that at that point in time I didn't really feel that I deserved it, but now I see that like I did and I do, and that was like the thing that kept me going, the thing I had to keep reminding myself of. I did actually have like a placemat in front of me when I ate, and that really helped me, and I just kind of knew that to stay the same weight was to stay stuck. That was the opposite of what I wanted. Another thing I had to like focus on was the fact that losing weight was what made me numb, and numbing those feelings helped for a short period of time, but I was so numb that I couldn't even feel happiness, which is why I got so low to the point that I did. The comments on my body were so hard to hear. They made me feel like screaming. Whenever I heard "you look better," all I heard was like "you look fat," and like I hated it so much. But obviously that feeling came from that association of healthy meaning fat in my mind, which again, completely anorexic thing, not reality. I had to remind myself that actually weight gain did not mean that I was out of control, and actually that getting fat, again, not a bad thing. And I think when I reminded myself that I had to gain the weight to fully recover, which is what I wanted, and I'd gone all in to do so, it felt a bit more okay. And actually my weight gain was meant to be noticeable. I wasn't meant to gain weight and stay looking unwell. I didn't want people to perceive me as unwell. I didn't want to look unwell, and the whole point was that I gained weight, so actually people telling me I looked better was a good thing. I think if you get comments of people telling you that you look better, you look like you've gained weight, you look more well, they're not telling you that to say that you look too big or you look fat or you've gained too much weight. They're telling you that because they're relieved and they're happy that they can see that you're getting better and gaining weight. And I think it took me a while to realise that, but nobody says it with ill intention. And along those lines, I think people saying that I looked better made me think that I was all the way done, and that like, why should I keep gaining more weight if I already look better? But they didn't mean I looked better, they meant I looked a little bit better. And I remember like really clearly saying to my mum, like, if everyone thinks that I look better, like, why do I need to keep going? She was like, because you're a little bit better, but as I just said, you're not all the way there. And again, when people are saying you look good, it doesn't mean you look good, like, don't gain more weight. It means you look good, keep going, because you're going to look even better afterwards. But I do know how hard it is to sort of wrap your head around that. I still found it so distressing to see myself in mirrors or to body check. It just sent me into such a spiral, because I was still convinced that I was a lot bigger than I was, and I was like, with the comments about looking healthy, I just would look at myself and be like, well, I'm a healthy weight now, and I wasn't. It was so hard. I just kept myself distracted constantly. I played board games with my family after dinner, I made jewellery, I edited my YouTube videos, I played with my dog. Anything I could just to take my mind off it, I had to do. Again, more pigeons. I was still resting like constantly, because I still knew that going back to exercise would just get those compulsions going again, and I did not want to do that. I also just wanted to give my body time and a chance to properly heal from all that I'd put it through. On to phase 3, which is like the middle to nearing the end of weight gain for me. Around this point I started to get a lot more freedom. I started to be able to go out. I was going out like every week with my friends. I was going out for meals with my family eventually. I was going for picnics. Me and my friend went to Brighton on a little holiday. I felt like a teenager for the first time in my life, and because I got ill at around 15 years old, I don't think I ever really experienced that. Like, I was never able to drink because I was scared of alcohol, and then that summer I just got it back. It was weight gain that did that for me, because I couldn't have undone the anorexic cognitions if I hadn't gained the weight. I think that's where a lot of people kid themselves as well, unfortunately. People kind of tell themselves like, I'll do the mental work, and then they still restrict and don't gain the weight, and that's never going to work for you. You're not going to live a free life where you can go out without anxiety and eat if you're not going to gain the weight. Your body has to be just as healthy as your mind. In this stage I knew I was leaving the anorexic life behind, and I was so grateful for that, but there definitely was still part of me that longed for the body I used to have. I think after not living a proper life for so long, it was kind of scary to be out in like the big wide world, because I just wasn't used to it and I didn't know how to like do things. I hadn't had the normal freedom and teenagehood, if that's a word, that like other people had, so it was just hard. I had kind of wrapped my head around weight gain though. I was quite used to the scales just going up and up every week, and it felt really hard but somehow okay. I cried a hell of a lot about my body in this stage. I did get really upset, and every kind of weigh-in that I had, I would just need support. My clothes stopped fitting me, which was really, really difficult. There were clothes that I'd bought in sizes way too small for what my natural body should ever have been, and they stopped fitting me, and I remember just like crying and like trying trousers on and being like, oh my god, they don't fit me, like I'm too big for these clothes. But in reality the clothes were too small for me. I stand by the fact that you are not meant to fit into your clothes are meant to fit you, and everybody's different sizes. That's why they don't make like one size fits all clothes, because you're not meant to be the same size as everyone else. Because my clothes stopped fitting though, it did mean that I got to like replace them with new ones, which felt like a nice little reward really. And I know this isn't like possible for everyone, but I did like sell my old clothes to then be able to buy new ones. The key was just distracting myself in this stage. My brain was effectively like bullying me all day. Like, it was relentless. It was just throwing insults at me, and I know it sounds stupid because it's like my own brain, but it was like another voice in my head that was my own voice. Like, it wasn't like I was hearing an outside voice, it was just these comments in my head constantly. You're getting fat, this, like just so much stuff. And every time I heard that, I would try to fight back on a good day. Some days I couldn't, but I would try to fight back, and I'd be like, I'm not getting fat, I'm getting healthy, shut the fuck up. Just kind of like reminding myself that actually like I'm not going to be scared of getting fat, because being fat isn't a bad thing, but also I was not going to go out of control. I think at this stage I definitely still thought I was. I thought I was never ever going to stop gaining weight. I thought I was just going to keep going and keep going and keep going, and it was just never going to end. And that is really scary as a person with anorexia. I guess like so much of anorexia is about being in control, so the idea that you'll completely lose control is very scary. But I just had to keep telling myself that actually like I'd rather be fat and like live a fulfilling and happy life than the absolutely miserable like hell I was in, because I was going nowhere with that life, literally nowhere. Like, I was isolated, I was miserable, I was eventually just gonna die. Like, it was doing nothing for me. I know like some people have sort of said like, oh, look in the mirror and like tell yourself nice things, and I'm sure that works for like some people, but when I did it, it just made me want to throw up. Like, again, I like vividly remember just standing in front of my mirror and trying to be like, you're beautiful, and just being like, whoop, no I'm not, like no. And then I just have another like breakdown over my body, because I would be staring at my body. I just wore really baggy clothes because I didn't want anyone to see me, because I couldn't bear to look at myself, and the thought of how other people were perceiving my body was really not fun in my mind. My weight definitely started to shift to different places, but my body dysmorphia was really playing tricks on me as usual, and I couldn't really see a difference very much. I just saw things getting bigger and not realise that the other places had got a bit smaller because it was redistributing. So that was really hard. But I also left therapy at this stage because it was not helping me to step on the scales in a therapy session every week and then chat about the fact that I'd gained weight. I've come so much further than I would have done if I'd have stayed with that therapist, or just in therapy in general, because it was not helping me at all. It made me feel invalid, and it made me feel like controlled, and I wanted to do it for myself, not in an unhealthy way. I just didn't see how I could take my life back if I was constantly relying on therapy. It's fine to rely on therapy, it just didn't work for me. So the final phase was full weight restoration. I genuinely think this was the hardest stage. It was scary, it was difficult to see my body, and again I had this whole thing in my head where I was just going to keep gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining weight, and it was never going to end, and I was going to stay crazily hungry forever. Newsflash, that doesn't happen. Your body will get used to having food. It won't be in that like famine place where it's terrified it's never going to get more food. It will stabilize. You will stop feeling so hungry all the time. But if you don't so soon, don't worry about it. Like, extreme hunger or recovery hunger is different for everyone, but you're also not going to keep gaining and gaining and gaining weight, because your metabolism will catch up and it will make you stop at your set point. That's what I did. I know that the body I'm in now is the body that I'm meant to be in. My metabolism is right for me. I've got to my set point weight naturally without, like, you know, I don't even know what it is, but I know it's what it is now. I completely stopped weighing myself. I basically just carried on wearing baggy clothes, and I started eating a lot more freely. I really think that not weighing myself helped with that, because I think I used to weigh myself on a Monday and I would panic so much the night before, and it would make eating so much harder, and then the day that I weighed myself I'd feel awful for the rest of the day, and then the days after. I think just knowing my weight was never helpful for me, but I was obsessed with having to know it, so as soon as I managed to give that up, like, a lot changed for me. People were genuinely shocked when they saw me, and I would get so many comments like, oh my god, you're unrecognizable, you look so different, you look so good, and that gut instinct in me was like, oh god, no, don't say that, like, I hate that so much, like, stop. It felt horrible. But then I slowly just kind of learned to own it and be like, yeah, I do look so much better. I look so much better because I've put the work in and because I've tried to get here. Like, this is what I've been working for. I think if you're constantly fighting the idea of looking healthy, it's going to be so much harder for you. Like, you need to accept that the reason you're recovering is to get healthy and to live an actual worthwhile life. I didn't need to distract myself so much in this stage. I felt a lot calmer. I kind of knew what I was doing, and my weight had started to settle and redistribute. So instead of all gathering in my stomach and my thighs, it kind of like went more to my upper body and my arms and like my hips and like my glutes. I started exercising a little. I started doing yoga, and that really helped me. I just wanted to feel strong. I knew at this point that like my aim was not to lose weight, no matter what like my eating disorder was kind of trying to kick back with. I just wanted to feel strong, and it wasn't to change my body, which is why I knew that it was okay. I started to miss my old body a hell of a lot less. It started to feel like a past part of me that wasn't even really a part of me at all, because unwell me was never really me. I was just a shell of a person, and I started to really appreciate what my new body had done for me. It had given me a wonderful summer, it had helped me meet new friends, it had taken me out for dinners, and it just kept on giving me the things that I'd missed. I still had a lot of kind of self-hatred towards my body though. I hadn't fully come to terms with it, and while I appreciated it, I didn't like the way it looked. So again, I still avoided mirrors, I was still wearing quite baggy clothes, and it was still quite a difficult time. So finally, I'm going to talk about where I am now. I'm fully weight restored. I actually see my body and I don't hate it sometimes. I've started to branch out a little bit and wear skirts that are like shorter, or like tighter tops, and like have my arms out a bit more, and I didn't think that like this soon I would kind of feel more okay. I think I expected to like hate my body for the rest of my life, but although I have times like that now, and I like definitely do have times where I'm like, oh, I feel sick looking at myself and like I hate myself, I also have so many times where I'm like, it's just a body, like this is my body and my body is my home, this is gonna be with me forever. Like, I need to learn to actually just be kind to it. And I don't think it's about like loving your body. Like, amazing if you can, like, show yourself love, but you don't have to completely love your body and be absolutely super happy with the whole of it. It's about accepting the bits that you like, the bits that you don't like, and living with it. I know that the body I'm in now is the body that I'm meant to have. Like, I know that this is how I'm meant to look. I do find it hard to not compare myself to like the ideal body type, and obviously whenever you're on like Pinterest or anything like that, they're all like super tall, like girls with a specific body type, and I know that like it can be really difficult to see that, but that's not what I'm meant to be like, that's not what I'm built like, that's not how I am. I have settled at the perfect healthy weight for me. I know that I do not ever want the old body I had back now. The life I live is way too free and good to give up that body. Like, it's not going to be worth it. When I compare the way I feel now to the way I felt back then, I'm not numb, and yeah, like, I feel the lows, but I also feel the highs. And the body I used to have, like, when I see pictures of it now, it does repulse me a bit. Like, I had no idea that I looked like that. Now all I can see is just how sad and grey and dull I looked. Whereas now I can see how full of life I am. It's making it so much easier to just let the old me go. I feel like my weight has probably mostly redistributed now, because obviously, as I was saying, like, I feel like this is the body that I was meant to be in. And no, I'm not like happy in my body, but as I said, I have so many times where I don't hate it either, and I'm like, oh, like, this is actually okay, and like, that says a lot. It's mainly when I have spent time in the shower, and obviously, like, you're naked in the shower, so you're gonna see yourself, and that's when I start to like freak out. Or like if I look in a mirror too long. But I don't body check anymore. Like, I never body check. I know it won't do any good, and it's not going to reassure me, it's not going to do anything. And I don't know my weight, and I don't want to know my weight, and I never weigh myself. Weight gain saved my life, and weight gain gave me this life, and I don't regret a single bit of it. Of course it was so hard, and it did just feel never ending, but I got here. I got to a point where I'm stable and I'm happy and I'm okay. I stuck with it, and it doesn't even bother me now because I don't have to gain any more weight. I know that this is my body, and I'm getting used to that. I hope this was helpful for some of you, and I hope that you took something from it. The main thing I'm just trying to get across here is that it is so difficult but so necessary, and it will pay off. Like, genuinely, it will pay off. And I hope you got some like tips on how to deal with it if you are going through it. And if you are going through it, keep going. I know it's tough, I know it's so hard, but you will get to a place where you will thank yourself so much. And you do deserve the life that you want to be living. You deserve the freedom. If you're a teenager, you deserve to live your teenage life. And if you're older, I get a lot of like people that are older and suffering with anorexia. It's not too late. You've still got a lot of life left to live. Do the best thing for yourself now, because you won't regret it. You've got nothing to lose. Thank you for watching. I hope this was somehow helpful. I am sending you all lots of love. Please be kind to yourself, and I will see you all soon.